The Galactic Military Academy's combat arena fell silent as General Thaxor, a towering Zentari with scales that shimmered like liquid mercury, surveyed the assembled cadets. 200 of the galaxy's finest warrior species stood in formation, Kralix with their forearms, Vornathi with their telepathic combat coordination, Sulreen whose exoskeletons could deflect plasma fire. And there in the back row stood 2 humans. Emma Cross kept her eyes forward, her jaw tight. Beside her, Harry Chen maintained the same rigid posture, though she could sense his frustration radiating like heat. 3 months at the academy and they were still novelties. Jokes. The species that had only just joined the Galactic Coalition, whose homeworld hadn't even mastered gravitational propulsion until first contact. Today, General Thaxor's voice resonated through his thorax, a sound that made the air vibrate. We study primitive combat methodologies, historical curiosities that reveal how species evolved their warfare before achieving interstellar capability. A ripple of amusement passed through the cadets. Emma's fingers curled into fists. The holographic display flickered to life, showing crude weapons, blades, projectile firearms, explosive devices. The humans called these conventional weapon, the general continued. Kinetic force, chemical reactions, how quaint. Cadet Zareth, a Kralix whose family had won 7 stellar campaigns, couldn't contain his laughter. General, forgive me, but did they throw rocks at each other? My hatchlings play more sophisticated war games. The arena erupted in chirps, clicks, and harmonic laughter. Emma felt her face burning, but Harry's hand touched her elbow, a subtle warning. Not yet. General Thaxor raised one clawed appendage. The laughter died, his 3 eyes fixed on the Kralix cadet with an intensity that made even the boldest warriors uncomfortable. You find this amusing, Cadet Zareth? Zareth's confidence wavered. General, I merely meant that such primitive methods seem inefficient compared to our plasma artillery, or the Vornathi's neural disruptors. I see. The general's voice dropped lower, and those closest to him instinctively stepped back. Tell me, young warrior, have you ever fought an enemy who refused to die? Who, despite losing atmosphere, gravity, supply lines, and hope itself, continued to advance? Silence. The humans have. General Thaxor turned to face the entire assembly. Before you stands a species that conquered their own planet not once but thousands of times. They fought wars that lasted generations. They created weapons designed for one purpose, to kill other humans, and they perfected this art for 10,000 cycles. Emma felt every eye in the arena turning toward her, and Harry, they fought in frozen wastelands where your exoskeletons would shatter, Cadet Prillix. In jungles where disease killed more efficiently than any weapon. Cadet Soramin. They fought in their own cities, reducing magnificent structures to rubble, then fought again in those same ruins. The general's scales darkened, a sign of deep respect in Zentari culture. And when they finally reached for the stars, do you know what they brought with them? No one answered. Everything. The word hung in the air like a threat. Every lesson learned in blood. Every tactic born from desperation. Every strategy that only works when defeat is not an option. Cadet Zareth shifted uncomfortably. But General, surely our advanced technology fails, Cadet. General Thaxor's eyes blazed. Plasma rifles malfunction. Energy shields collapse. Ships lose power. What happens then? He let the question linger. I will tell you what happens. You die. Unless you are human. The general moved to the center of the arena. I propose a demonstration. A simple exercise in what humans call hand-to-hand combat. Who among you brave warriors wishes to face a primitive Earthborn in personal combat? No weapons, no armor, no technological advantage. The cadets exchanged glances. Zareth's forearms flexed. I volunteer, General. Excellent. General Thaxor turned to the humans. Cadet Cross, Cadet Chen, which of you accepts this challenge? Emma felt her heart hammering. 3 months of mockery, of being underestimated, of watching superior officers doubt whether humans belonged in the galactic military at all. It crystallized into this single moment. Harry raised his hand. The general nodded slowly, and Emma could have sworn she saw something like satisfaction in his alien features. He leaned close to Zareth and whispered, but in the arena's acoustics everyone heard, "Pray to whatever gods your species honors, young one." Zareth's confidence faltered. "General?" The human raised his hand. "That's all the warning you'll receive." The two combatants moved to the designated circle. Zareth stood nearly 8 feet tall, his forearms ending in claws that could pierce steel plating. Harry was 6 feet of compact muscle, hands empty, face calm. "Begin," General Thaxivor commanded. Zareth lunged with the speed that had made Kralix feared shock troops across 3 sectors. 4 arms struck simultaneously, a devastating pattern impossible for bilateral species to defend against. Harry wasn't there. He'd slipped inside Zareth's reach, his elbow driving into the joint of the Kralix's lower right arm. The crack echoed through the arena. Before Zareth could react, Harry's foot hooked behind the alien's leg while his hands found pressure points that existed on every oxygen-breathing species, nerve clusters that transcended evolution. Zareth hit the ground in under 3 seconds. Harry didn't stop. His knee pressed into Zareth's thorax, one hand controlling 2 of the Kralix's arms with a grip that turned superior strength into leverage. The other hand positioned at Zareth's throat, not crushing, just present. "A promise. Yield," Harry said quietly. Zareth, eyes wide with shock and pain, managed a choked assent. Harry released him immediately and offered his hand to help the Kralix up. Zareth stared at the gesture for a long moment before accepting it. General Thaxivor's voice filled the silence. "Humans call this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, one of hundreds of combat systems they developed. This particular art was designed to allow smaller, weaker humans to defeat larger, stronger humans." He paused. "Consider what that means. They created ways to fight themselves at a disadvantage and still win." Emma watched understanding dawn across alien faces. "When the Kralix went to war," the general continued, "you fought the Vornathi, a telepathic species fundamentally different from you. When the Solrine expanded, you encountered the Zentarii, warriors unlike any you'd known." His 3 eyes swept the assembly. "But humans? They only had each other. So they learned to fight every possible way a human could fight. And now?" Harry stood beside Zareth, both breathing hard. The Kralix cadet no longer looked mocking, he looked thoughtful. Worried. "Now," General Thaxivor concluded, "they fight us, and they bring 10,000 years of killing other humans to every engagement." His scales shimmered with fierce pride. "That is why humanity earned their place in the Galactic Coalition. Not despite their primitive origins, because of them." The general's gaze found Emma. "Cadet Cross, tomorrow. You will demonstrate what humans call Krav Maga. I believe the cadets will find it educational." Emma smiled. "Yes, General." As the assembly dispersed, Zareth approached Harry and Emma. His translator unit rendered his clicking speech. "I underestimated you. This will not happen again." Harry extended his hand, that peculiar human gesture of respect. "In my culture, we have a saying, train hard, fight easy." Zareth clasped the hand with his upper right arm, careful now of the human's deceptive strength. "And in mine, we say only fools ignore teachers. I would learn from you if you permit." As they walked together from the arena, Emma caught General Thaxivor watching with what might have been satisfaction. The humans had been mocked when they arrived at the academy. They wouldn't be mocked when they left.